It's an emergency pod. The America Red Devils are breaking down the shocking news that Dan Ashworth is departing Manchester United with immediate effect. It looks like a good old-fashioned booting. They said it's by mutual effect, but at the end of the day, this was instigated by Ineos. It seems that Sir Jim, the rest of the crew, Omar, were not happy with Dan Ashworth. Shocking news to wake up to on a Sunday morning in the States, sir. But here we are trying to figure out what the hell's going on in United. This feels very rash from Ineos, even if he was, from what we're hearing, pushing the England angle, pushing the Southgate. Maybe we're not ready for an Amorim. Hey, we spent a lot of time, we spent a lot of money, and a lot of attention trying to bring Dan Ashworth in over the last year. They got him. Long protracted thing with Newcastle. He gets in. Obviously the last 4 months have not gone well, but throwing the guy out after 5 months feels very rash for Manchester United. Sir, how are you feeling? Shocking news. Emergency pod. Once again, we've been doing them thick and fast the last 3 months, sir. We got a lot of emergency pods. How you doing?
Look, it's I thought the loss to Nottingham Forest was bad enough. Then we wake up this morning and I started seeing like Ashworth out. Like it was one of those moments where I like barely had my coffee out here on the West Coast. I pulled up Twitter and it's like Ashworth out. I literally thought it was like a joke. I didn't believe it. And then boom, it hit me. This is real. And then immediately the second thing that came to mind was like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is going on at this club? It's like, this is such a shit show. And everyone who's listened to the America Red Devils for a long, long time, we've been advocating for a director of football since the days of Ed Woodward. This guy is the best in Europe, the best in England. His pedigree is beyond reproach unless you're Ineos. And that is going to be, and you know what? They run a cycling team and a bad one at that. I mean, like, honestly, like, think about it. Like, yep. What we saw with Ashworth is literally coming down to Ineos is like, what you want to do? That's not the way we're going. And that's a bold strategy, if you ask me. Even though Brada came from City and he looks to be the real deal, it boils down to a Brada versus Ashworth move. I think the departure from Ashworth was with Ruben Amorim. That this goes pretty deep, if you ask me. I think I have my finger on the pulse of what really happened and what is happening.
Let's hear it.
We heard about it. We talked about it. And when I said Amorim, bringing in Amorim he's the best manager in Europe, but from a contract, from a roster, from like a building a team with what we got right now, and the long-term view, we weren't ready for an Amorim. But I love Amorim. I want him here at United, but I'm a Muppet. I'm not a world-class director of football, and I think Ashworth wanted to go with someone else who would play the same style that the roster currently suits. And I feel like we're seeing Amorim try to change the style with a roster built for another style, and that's more the same. Look back the last 10 years. We did it with LVG. We did it with all the chop and change, and that's what Ineos is doing. And that's ultimately what is a concern for me. But this is not harmony at Manchester United. This is not we got a plan at Manchester United. This is we're in a rush and heads are going to roll. And that's concerning because if you thought people were lobbying to hang on to Ten Hag, we didn't even keep Ashworth for 5 months. What could he have done in 5 months? What could he have done in 5 months?
Which is why this feels incredibly rash from Ineos. One thing, and the only argument you can make that could anyway be positive, where there's going to be hopefully a good outcome within the near term, is if culturally it wasn't a fit. Omar came in, they want to do a different type of football. They want to be more aggressive on the timeline. That's clearly the case. But like you said, we courted him for longer than he's been in the job, and the fact that he's already being booted without even a full season behind the reins, it's very shocking. It's very worrisome because it doesn't speak to a club that has a good handle of like exactly what's going on. They've done some herky-jerky things in terms of messaging, the tickets, but this is concerning. This is very concerning because, like you said, he is one of the top guys in the game. By the way, he's going to go to one of our rivals. He's going to go to one of the people we don't want him to go to because he's a hell of a director of football. And I would imagine he's telling them something that they don't want to hear, and that's not good. Because you're hiring and firing in 5 months. Okay, stick with Ten Hag. Apparently that was his agreement. That didn't work out. Obviously, we know that. Going with a less glamorous manager in a Southgate or a Potter, Fans aren't going to like that, but there's an argument to be made that United is not ready for it right now, given how herky-jerky the squad is. Even, like you said, as fans, we'd love to see Amorim because he's so exciting. We can see the vision. We can see where we want to be. So this is concerning because I think a prudent club gives it to at least July, bro. Like, there's no reason to fire him in the beginning of December, like before the January transfer window. It just feels so rash. It feels rash. It feels like they're just moving too fast and they're not really thinking fast enough. And like, I want them to be more thoughtful because this is a long con. It's like, it's going to take a decade to get the stadium built. I don't understand why they're firing a top tier director of football within 5 months. It's very alarming.
Well, you can get to the place where, like, the reason why they're firing him, and you could argue whether it's the right decision. We're not going to know. We're not going to know if it's the right decision for another 3 or 4 years. And ultimately, if Ashworth continues to do a good job wherever he goes, which to me, I think is without a doubt he will because of everything he's already done. This is Ratcliffe is in a rush. Like, his timeline is, and who knows what the timeline is. It could be an agreement with the Glazers. He only has the reins for 2 years, and if he doesn't do a good job, then he only owns 25% of the club. He acts like he owns 100. He could be in a rush for other reasons, health reasons. I don't know. But his view is basically like, we need to be elite now. The Ten Hag, like, that's where I think it is. Like, Ratcliffe wants to be competing in 2 years, and Ratcliffe was going to get you there in 5. Now, I'd rather guaranteed get there in 5 and have it take longer than do what we've been doing the last 10 years, which is basically trying to, like, new manager, 80 million pound signing, sack him. Next manager wants a whole new roster, which we just did with Amorim. We literally sacked Erik ten Hag, put 200 million into the players for him in the summer, and now Amorim wants to play a whole different style and a whole different formation. It's insane. That's why ultimately hiring Amorim was a bold move. And if Ashworth was against it, why do you think he was against it? Because you look at a roster and you look at the contracts, be like, we're not going to be able to ship some of these players for 2 years. We got Luke Shaw. Like, he's a left back. We got to play him there. I just have a feeling that he thought we should have signed somebody else, do the long build with like a Southgate or a Potter, and then bring in the top tier talent. That's probably the best way to go. But people don't like to take your medicine. People don't like to eat well every day. No, people want the quick fix. And Ineos wants the quick fix. That's what they're looking for. And Ashworth was saying, hey, guys, I can do it over the long term, and this is what we should do. And Ineos didn't want to take the medicine. They want it right now. They want the sugar rush. And that's what Amorim is. That's what Barada is telling Jim. And Jim is running this show. He is running this show. And, like, it is kind of a baller move to just, like, hey, you decided to keep Ten Hag? See ya. Like that, like that's ruthless. This guy is ruthless. Like, I think is what we're finding out now.
It's a little too ruthless.
Of course, like King Henry VIII. Like,
yeah, chopping.
It's kind of like one of those things where it makes me concerned if you're gonna say this guy isn't good enough for United when he clearly is, and then what you do doesn't work out. Then you look like a moron. And I guarantee you, we will probably look like idiots for firing this guy, and we won't win the title in the next 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, doing the rush bit that Ineos wants probably won't get us the results that they want. And letting Ashworth go is probably the wrong move. His resume at England and Brighton, and oh, by the way, like, his signings at Newcastle were pretty good. I don't understand what they disagree with here, because this guy, he's done it everywhere. He has the pedigree. And you're going to say, like, Brailsford and Barada are going to say they know better? That's crazy. That's crazy.
I think United will regret this decision. I think it's almost a certainty that United, this will blow up in our face. This is a fucking mistake. This is a mistake in a lot of different ways. It's a mistake because we lose the talent in him, because he's like top tier director of football, and we're letting him go. He's going to go to a rival. That's a huge point. We look like assholes. We look like a bunch of fucking chumps. So our ability to attract other top tier talent is going to go down, even though we're still United. But this does make us look like a bunch of morons, including Jim Ratcliffe, right? Because at the end of the day, I get it. He owns, he has the controlling ownership or whatever in terms of like the day-to-day operations of the club. Obviously, he doesn't own majority ownership like the Glazers do, but he's the man at the moment. But he is appointing a team to run the show. And if he's overruling Omar Barada, which I have a feeling in this call he did, even if Omar was on Amorim, I don't think Omar Barada wanted to get rid of Dan Ashworth, because I'm sure he knows he can recognize his talent.
No, I think it was between Barada and it was
You think it was Barada?
Barada went and got Amorim. Ashworth didn't want that. And now Ashworth's out right after we hired Amorim. Like, like Barada, it's a Barada versus Ashworth. He brought in a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And for whatever reason, the go get Amorim, go sign Gorky's, go spend more money. Like, that's going to, we're going to be in like the Ed Woodward, like flashy, cashy United, win now. That's what we are going to be under Ineos. I thought it was a different project. I thought it was in 4 to 5 years, we're going to build this squad. We're going to do it in a certain way. We're going to have a playing style that Ashworth is going to define, and they're going to hire a manager to fit that, which, by the way, Amorim isn't that guy. Like that, he's not the guy that Ashworth would recruit. It's Eddie Howe at Newcastle, is Graham Potter. Now, that's why they hired him. Now, would you be in the top 4? Yes. Would you win the title? I don't know. But I'm just saying that is what Ashworth brings you. He can guarantee you to get there. And we're going kind of like bat out of hell, like, hey, Amorim, and just splashing cash again and chopping and changing. And by the way, I think Amorim's the guy. But I don't know if Ineos, their vision is kind of coming in. And the fact that they did the tickets, and now they're like sacking this guy 5 months. Like, even if you wanted to get rid of him, you give him a year.
You wait till the summer, dude.
You give him a year and you PR the shit out of it.
Right.
This is a rash, angry disagreement, power play, sacking, like out of nowhere. Ashworth probably got fired. And he was just like, you guys are a bunch of, you're not serious people. I'm sure that's what he's thinking in his head. He's like, you guys are out of your mind. And like, that's how I know they are. You know, we've been in different teams, different companies. It's like, this doesn't go on unless they are off the rails.
And guess what? Guess who just lost their director of football? Who could use a director of football like him? Arsenal, right? A dude went to Forest. He's going to go to a club in England. He's going to a club of one of our rivals, and this is going to blow up in our face. This is a bad call. And this is like this Sir Jim, like, hey, smart guy, but I think, you know, his track record with Nice, his track record with the other Ineos sporting endeavors, like, they haven't worked out that great. And I think it's because he doesn't know enough to know that, like, he should let other fuckers who know what they're doing and who are like domain experts.
He's in a rush.
No, he's in a rush, but also he wants to control everything. He wants his hand on everything. It's like, no, dude, you hire Omar and Dan and Wilcox to run the club, and you take a step back, and instead, like, he's getting all involved. You can tell, and it's not good.
No,
and
this is
bad. This is very, very bad. I'm excited about Ruben Amorim. I'm excited about the new direction, but like, they're firing Dan Ashworth in December makes no fucking sense.
Of course. Okay, let's get into the whole, like, we as American Red Devils, we've seen the last 20 years of United. We've seen the last 10 years under Glazer ownership. We know going for the big manager, the big flashy manager, and making $400 million of signings every 2 to 3 years doesn't get you there, which is why I was excited to do it the Dan Ashworth way and do it over a longer period of time, right? That's ultimately why I was excited about that.
Me too.
Okay, that's not happening anymore. That's where we are. We are in Ruben Amorim, Omar Barada, Wilcox, or whoever they bring in. We're doing it fast and flashy, and we're going for it. So I'm all in on the train. Eat the L, sir. Get the salt out, the hot sauce. We ate the L. Dan Ashworth, see you later. Now we're on the train. Let's go. All right, now that we're on this train,
who we want?
Ratcliffe sounds like a ruthless
one.
Like,
son of a
he
bitch.
is like, because here's the deal.
Like Secession style, bro.
When
like,
you're
like literally the old man Secession.
You know,
Wilcox.
newsflash, I'm not a billionaire. But if I was a multi-billionaire, I was sitting in the stands of the club I just dropped $1 billion into, and they were humiliated last year with Ten Hag. Remember the whole finish to the season, the death march.
They made a mess of it. And
the death march to his ultimate demise was completely bottled. And then they sat there in Wembley, and they were like, "Oh my God!" And Ashworth said, "Guys, I know you want to fire him. I know it was bad. Just give him time." And he came out this season and was shit. Was horrible. Like, no one could have ever imagined it. To Ratcliffe, you're dead to him. Like, if Ashworth died on that vine to save Ten Hag, and we came out and were like almost just a waste of a season for United, 14th, horrible, every signing, like just it didn't go well this summer. And if Ashworth was really a part of it, I can see why to Ratcliffe, he's out. You know, like that. I can see Ratcliffe being like, "You don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here!" Like that fast, because everything he said really didn't work out. You have to say it. Like if he said keep Ten Hag, let's sign some of his players for Ten Hag. Don't worry, he's going to do better. And then it goes that bad. Like to a billionaire guy that you're giving advice to, he's like, see you later. I can see why Ratcliffe would do that.
I can see it. I still don't think it's the right decision. He made a bunch of
he does it in business.
He made
right?
a bunch of big L's. I mean, he made a bunch of huge L's. I just think this role is really specialized, and there's only like a handful of folks who can fill this role. He's one of them. He did make big fuck ups, but I think given his track record,
no,
he
but
deserves.
Dealing with billionaires, I'm saying a billionaire is very short with time, temper,
he's
etc.
old. He's old, right? He's on like an abbreviated time clock.
Like I'm not arguing against Ashworth being good. I'm saying to a billionaire who you're trying to impress, if you're that wrong over this many things, that it's hard to win favor back.
I don't disagree, but it was 5. It was 5 months. So I think with a pedigree like him, he should have been given more time. If I was. I'm not a billionaire either, so
no,
right, like
saying,
I don't have the kind of like temperament to just cut every motherfucker one after another.
You've seen it, like, hey, we're bringing in this guy, he's going to solve all of our problems, and if you're like in a management team that you're working on, and 5 months in, it's just a disaster. Like some powerful rich people will just sack you, like fire fast, hire fast, fire fast. Some people have that mentality, and I feel that Ratcliffe was thinking like that. Like, hey, this is a shit show. Like, I asked for data, you didn't give it to me. You said keep Ten Hag, we suck. Like and you're out. And it's like
I don't think it's a petrochemical company. It's different running a sport club. It's like
I know.
It's why it's so much harder.
Ashworth is coming from a different view.
I get it.
Of it, where his job isn't at risk. He's not working for this business guy, and I could just see how. I'm trying to think, why would Ratcliffe make a move like that? And in business, sometimes you make moves like that, but in sports, I feel like you're just given more time by default.
I just think if you have this track record, you earned it for a reason. So I think you would give him more time just because he obviously has competency, and some of these things like, hey, you're taking a punt, you just got in, you just came into Manchester United, but I can understand what you're talking about. Absolutely. But like, I think once again, if you do this in a petrochemical company and all of a sudden everything's falling to shit, yeah, make a fast change. Here, it's like, it's different. It's football. It's harder to affect. And I just think like he's being rash because like
but it's a business mindset in football is what I'm just trying to say. Like, I see the rationale for this from like Ratcliffe's business dealings,
but I don't think
and then bringing that to football, which isn't going to probably work. But he's a billionaire, so good luck telling billionaires they're wrong about anything. I'm sure that's hard to do. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. And so like, we're going to, there were rumors about why he got sacked. Apparently he did disagree with them about Ten Hag recruitment, and it just wasn't a fit. So him saying, hey guys, we shouldn't hire Amorim. Hey guys, we should hire someone who plays, the 4-2-3-1 that our entire squad and contracts are built off of, including the last $200 million we spent last summer. We should not hire Amorim because of this, and we should hire these guys who are maybe not as sexy. And I can imagine that is the disconnect. And then Ashworth's like, how much am I paying you? These ideas suck. I don't like them, and that's why he's out. Like, I can see that. But as fans, it's hard because we've been doing the sexy Mourinho signings, and that hasn't done anything. That's how we are $1.2 billion in the hole. And I'm just curious why Ratcliffe, has he not seen that? Is he just think it's going to be different with him? It's just kind of strange. Like, I don't know why is he in a rush?
Because he's old and he's like staring down the eternal clock. This is really concerning about his judgment. I have concerns because I can see the reasoning totally. It's like, hey, shit's going bad. You sack the guy whose ideas you don't agree with. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's a risky move, right? It's super risky. I wanted the low and slow. I'm in a rush, but I'm not in that much of a rush because I've been watching football for 11 years. And it's like, I want this club to be back to the promised land. And that's going to take discipline. And that's going to take a low and slow approach. And guess what? You can't ever rush anything. Anything worth doing is worth doing right and worth doing the long way. So it's like, I think I get what he's trying to do, but I think it's even riskier. And yeah, there's a chance that we could pick off some other like top tier director of football that's more aligned with Omar and what he's trying to do. But it's fucking risky, and I think it makes us look like a bunch of chumps, and it makes me question Jim Ratcliffe and his judgment because maybe there's a reason that all of his other sporting institutions have not done well. Because I just think you're too eager, man. It's like, all right, he fucked up a big one on Eric Ten Hag and transfers as well, but like, give him January, give him next summer, give him a chance, and I guess they went a different direction. I'm very curious to see who they bring in his stead, but This is concerning for Manchester United, sir, as a fan who just, the timeline's important, but I'd wait 5 years, bro. I'm happy to, as long as we get back, rather than waste another 5 years by trying to do, the Flash thing.
And this does give you a window into how Manchester United is being run, which is it's Sir Ratcliffe. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is running the show. If you had any doubt, this is it. He's running the show, which we don't know. Like the results, like Amorim could be the next Sir Alex Ferguson, win 20 titles. So at the end of the day, like if that's the case, then Dan who? Like I get it, but like we are risky. That. But what the director of football position meant to Manchester United, and what we've been saying over the last decade, or 8 years that we do in this podcast, is we need the DOF to run the footballing operations to the point where he says we're going to play the 4-2-3-1. We're going to hire a manager. We're going to sign players and contracts to support this formation and the style of play. And Ashworth has that style of play, and he has that vision. And Ineos basically said, we're good. We're going to do whatever Amorim wants, which means that if we fire Amorim, we're going to have that new manager come in, and we're going to have to do whatever he wants, which isn't going to be 3-4-3, and we're going to have to re-sign everybody. And then the issue with that is you can't spend $1 billion every time you fire your manager, which we found out because the club is in debt and we don't make any money. And so that cycle is just repeating. I did bring it up when we hired Amorim that this is a surprise type of signing for where we are probably headed, and that is the disagreement, I think, fundamentally, that led to Ashworth leaving, because Ineos said, if this is your plan, we don't want it, and it's Sir Jimmy's club, and he's a United fan, boyhood United fan, and it's like going to be football manager Sir Jim Ratcliffe, like literally, it's going to be like FIFA career mode, Sir Jimmy, like good luck.
Not good, dude.
I hope Sir Jimmy can make some moves, but that's what we're on, and it used to be
Jimmy.
And it used to be Ed Woodward career mode, and the Glazers. The funniest thing about the whole thing is the Glazers are sitting in Florida, just don't give a fuck, like whether it's Woodward fucking this club or Sir Jim Ratcliffe making weird decisions, the Glazers are just sitting back, chilling.
Pretty, bro.
They don't care about nothing. But let's jump into some fan questions. Thank you for everyone getting us these. Important to hear what you guys have to say, but a crazy day for United. Feels like we're shooting ourselves in the foot, but Amorim could be the guy to bail us out. At KC Sock Wiz, quote, Ashworth kept Erik ten Hag past his expiry date, and with a grant and plan to replace Erik ten Hag with Southgate when the situation was beyond dire madness. And here's the killer move. He also wanted to splash $70 million to sign Branthwaite. This is sackable, in my opinion. Look, there's going to be a lot. There's already shots being fired. We're in the spin.
The spin
Here's the
zone's
deal.
begun.
We're in the spin zone.
They're going to dump everything on him, bro.
So,
everything.
Don't believe everything you hear necessarily, because there's also spin why Erik ten Hag was probably worse than he was. Right. And every time somebody leaves, you're going to get that. But what I'm trying to say is ultimately what Ashworth represented was a long-term build of this team, like he did at Brighton, like he was doing at Newcastle, like he did with England. And all of those have been looked to be pretty successful, including Eddie Howe and a lot of those signings up in the river, beyond the River Tyne, sir. And now we are departing from that, and we're going to win now, like Woodward signings type of territory, which we've been in. And so let's just accept that reality before we just kill Dan Ashworth, because you can't just kill the guy. You have to look at his background, and it's above reproach, in my opinion. You can't look at his CV and be like, that guy doesn't know what he's doing.
No, that's why I think this is a rash decision and a poor decision at that. But here we are. So I hope they bring in someone who's an absolute fucking killer, same degree of everyone else they brought in to date. But I have a prediction, bro. Whoever Dan Ashworth goes, that club, if it's a Premier League club, will outperform Manchester United in the next couple of years. Like, this is a mistake. But hey, Sir Jimmy, bro, you're the man. You're running. He's running everything, bro.
Hey, don't tell him he's not the man. I'll tell you.
Clearly.
At Gray Internet, we all hope for a competent front office, but early returns are not promising. On top of everything, the squad is dropping points at home against Forest. Yikes! And that's another great point. They did it Saturday night after Forest,
which is fucking crazy if you watch that game.
Which is like, what does it? Like, it just shows you that like.
The rash.
Ratcliffe is probably just fuming.
Fucking nut job.
And he's like, I want blood. Yeah, somebody's got to go. This is
masochist.
He's like so mad.
He's a madman, dude. They're all madmen.
Because I bet you it's not only going shit on the pitch, it's going shit the
They said the
company is
data
going
team.
shit.
They said the data team's a mess. They said all the internal teams are like a fucking mess. Like he's just pissed. Everything. He bought this mess. He didn't even bought it. You know what I mean? He bought a steak in a mess, and he's pissed about it. He's having a little buyer's regret. You know, and I think he's just lashing out, bro. It feels like lashing out.
At D_Cole seems like him leaving after not getting to run things his way, which makes me wonder, why do we hire these people if we don't have a shared vision of how to move forward with recruitment and building? Why pay his release clause only to pay his termination 5 months later? It's insane. And when you consider the fact the millions upon millions upon millions they're going to pay this man, and they increase the price for fans, which will maybe lead to like $1.5 million bucks. It's like, who's paying for this?
They're making
ineptitude,
a meal. They're
dude.
making a meal of it.
It looks bad. Ineos was supposed to be like better stewards than the Glazers. They're kicking up more dust than the Glazers. The Glazers didn't do anything.
It's only been a year, sir.
It's unbelievable. At Jordan, he, sort of speechless, and we have been left speechless by transfers, performances, the manager, Ineos, etc. Enough this year. I know we're high on Ashworth, but I think this is a good move if we are a unified club. The question is, who do John and Alex want to see replace him? It is true. If he was like, he could be complaining all the time, but most likely his complaints are valid. Like I did present the why you didn't need to hire Amorim argument. Now I'm a Muppet. I want to hire Amorim. Muppets running clubs probably don't work, right? So what do you think? Are we going to be more unified in the front office that he's out?
No, I think this is concerning. I think if you bring a guy in, you spend all this time, all this money to bring him in, and then he makes, you pin Erik ten Hag on him, which is fair. That is not going to build a lot of confidence that holy shit, we have any kind of latitude to get anything wrong and take risks at all. So I think this is going to make us less unified. I think this is going to make people less eager to join the Manchester United project, which up until a day ago, like Ruben Amorim, I think people wanted to be a part of it. I think this is going to bite us in the ass, bro. Beyond just losing the talent in him and him going elsewhere in the Premier League, I think this makes Sir Jim look like kind of a numpty. Personally, I know it's like, yeah, fuck him because he fucked up. You throw him out, but it's like, I don't think people want to work for that type of environment where they give him like an inch and then they blow it and they're immediately booted to the curb.
At KJL Joel, unbelievable, huge egos also in the Ineos team, not being able to work out their different views of going forward. An embarrassment spending huge money to buy Ashworth free only to sack him. And then it's like, I think it's one of those things where it's like Sir Jim's looking for yes men. Like,
it's not good.
It's not so bad. Good when a rich, but like also, like,
we know them, bro. We know these rich guys.
Rich guys are just like,
they're all the same.
They
they're all the same. They're just like, they don't want to hear what they need to hear. They want to hear what they want to hear. That's the problem.
Like Ashworth's probably in there being like, okay, year 1 is going to be like this. And it's like, not exciting. Year 2 is not even exciting. Year 3, don't get excited, like but something might happen year 3. And he's sitting there being like, I just dropped
I'll be dead by that, bro.
1.4 million. I need to see it next year.
I know.
And it's like, and by the way, like from Ratcliffe's point of view, bringing Ten Hag back just killed this year. And that's like, he doesn't have years to spend. And that if that decision was on Ashworth, you could see why a rich guy would Hoyland celebration him. Just see him.
Good.
Let's give you the new one.
Very good. So that's everyone's getting killed these days. Thumbs down all around, bro. I'll tell you what, he looked good today, bro. Woo-wee.
It's getting winter out here. It's cold in the Podbunker, sir. Jesus, Cole Palmer. He apparently, boyhood Manchester United fan. Need to get him. Need to get him in.
What a player he is.
At C_1201. Sadly, we've hit the bottom. We haven't hit the bottom of the barrel yet. We're miles away from a championship team on and off the field. It's football follies here at Manchester United, sir. I think that's it. That's the emergency pod. Anything you want to add here? They are looking at other director of footballs. There are rumors out there right now. I think that the PR element of it just is a nightmare too. They didn't handle it well. They just like, rich guy decides on Saturday night he's gone. He's gone. Blood everywhere the next day. No plan. No nothing. Statements lacking clarity. Like just completely out of nowhere. Looks like
concerning.
Like this is Arnold and Edward-esque.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is like these numpties running around again.
It's
like
literally
way higher paid. It's the dad. It's because of fucking Sir Jim Ratcliffe, bro. He's meddling in it. I know it. I've seen this movie before. He's hiring smart people.
Never give up.
They're trying to make
decisions.
Never
stop back in this.
Of course
club,
I won't.
bro.
But that's not the point. The point is we're a lot further from the fucking promised land than we think because Sir Jim is meddling. That's the thing I'm getting. He is clearly just like too involved. He needs to, what I was hoping for, hire really smart fucking people, give them latitude to do their job, make mistakes, learn, and then get it right over time. And instead he's like, you're fired. You're fucking fired too, bro. It's like, that's not good. No one's going to want to work for this lunatic.
If I had $1 billion and was running Manchester United, I might behave this way too.
You might, but he's got many more billions of dollars.
But I surely would have sacked Ten Hag after.
Yes,
that
you
FA
would.
Cup.
You would
I
have sacked him before the FA
surely,
Cup.
You would have
done it personally.
I don't need a director of football to tell
You
me
would have
that
taken
this
joy
team
in
doesn't.
it.
I don't need like a world class director of football to tell me this team don't know nothing and barely practice, dude. Like as far as like
Well,
we
he
got
wanted to
some,
keep that hog.
make-
I mean, that's the counter. He wanted to keep that hog. So could he be that good?
No, he just. I understand where he was. It's like you're so far down this path that you might as well, like, you want to make sure it's like dead as a
Dead.
doornail. Like, just like be like, okay, now we know
He
we
was
should
the low and
definitely
slow,
sack
dude.
him.
He's the low and slow approach, and we would, like you said, we
And
would have gotten there.
billionaires
It would have taken
versus
longer.
club building is just a different category. But look, that is the Emergency Podcast. I know you're probably, it'd be interesting to see what people think. Please, if you're listen to our YouTube channel, if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, please check it out. Post videos there of all the podcasts, tons of other fun things that we're covering, including Dan Ashworth and this crazy roller coaster that is being a Manchester United fan. It's sometimes you wish it was a little more relaxing. Like, hey, we're 6th place and there's not drama in the front office. But you like the pod, please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/America Devils. Also buy some merch, americadevils.store. And like I said, like and subscribe. Help us out. We're going to leave you with a great song here, Sir United Clip. So we'll be back. It's just going to take a little longer than we thought.
Yeah, it might not be years, it might be decades, but hey, we're going to be with you every step of the way. I'm hoping they bring in a top tier director of football to replace Dan Ashworth. But yeah, interesting news. Emergency pod, like John said, we'll keep you posted on everything United as it comes down the pipe, sir. We'll see you guys next time.